Hello, my friends, my sisters, and my brothers all over the world. As you know, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. This is the first Sunday morning after the midterm elections. And this morning I got up and I went to several churches so that I could go in. They had allowed me to come in and introduce my candidacy to their membership for the Senate position from the state of Minnesota as a write-in. And having gone through that process, I wanted to go by and thank them for going to the polls and supporting the message that I brought, because nobody knows me, and so if I'm going to get anywhere, it has to be because of the message that I bring. And I wanted to thank them for having enough faith in it to go to the polls and write in Eddie Marcus as representative advocate of the message. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you know, it is what it is, and the returns has given us an indication that we still have a divided country, and we're going to have a war. I mean, it's just beginning between the people of this country who have one idea and about how this country is supposed to be run, and another have a different idea. But each of these ideas does not support the inclusion of everybody to the best that they can receive as far as their blessings in this life, those things that are essential for their survival and the joy of their lives. And so nothing I said apparently affected that, especially since what's going on today after that midterm session. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know there are many of those of you who have heard me, and you probably ask yourselves many times, what is it that propels me outward to think that I can go before you, the American people, and call myself giving you a divine message from God and expect you to listen to me? Well, I've been doing videos for quite some time, and I've said over time exactly why. And if you ask me to identify those tapes that you might be able to go back and pull, I might not be able to do that, but since the thought is there today, I think I'll take advantage of this moment and share with you once again, for those of you who perhaps who've never even heard this message before or heard me before. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I do not just come before you haphazardly expecting that I can say something in the name of God and expect you to believe me. No way, no way, no way. In fact, if I wasn't sure, absolutely sure of what I'm sharing with you, I wouldn't even tell you. Hold on, I got a little feedback going on. If I wasn't sure of what God has given me, I wouldn't tell you. Now let me tell you why I'm sure. Many of you are familiar with the story of the burning bush and Moses. You know, Moses had heard a lot of stuff about God, stuff that he hadn't heard before. And after paying attention to what had been said, he ended up finding a confrontation with a burning bush that opened his eyes to the extent that what was before him was something that no man, according to his understanding, could ever do. So it must have been a God that was able to get his attention and teach him. So here's how I grew up in the church, ladies and gentlemen. I grew up in the church watching and listening to these messages and listening to these stories. Now, the only story that stuck with me is the story of Jesus. The message about how people applied themselves or were to apply themselves as Christians, I never saw that. I saw people treating people nice, treating people kind, but you don't have to be a Christian to do that. You don't have to recognize yourself as a child of God to do that. The devil can treat the devil. Let me leave the devil out. And so, out of all of that, my hero was Jesus. The thing that made me pay so much attention to Jesus was because I was so well aware of the conditions of those people who were being mentioned in that message of Jesus. While Jesus living, according to the story, is that it was for everybody. But that same message didn't matter whether you were rich or poor. The message was the same. Even though he might have told the rich man, go get rid of everything he had and give it to the poor. But anyway, so Jesus was my hero. But as a young man, a young boy, I was a fool. I mean a real fool. Now, let me tell you why I'm convinced. My burning bush. As a boy, for those of you who live, black minorities, many of you lived in the only exercise of swimming that you might have had was in a lake or a ditch somewhere. There wasn't no swimming pools. And so I grew up in an area where we practiced in a mud hole. A mud hole was just that part of the lake that you could stand up in. Water wasn't too deep, over your knees or something, a little bit higher maybe, and you could practice dog paddling. Well, I believed that I could swim, even though I'd only done dog paddling. Never did a stroke in my life talking about swimming, but I believed I could. And so one day, I wanted to convince myself beyond a doubt, while the big boys, the people who could swim, weren't there. And I went out into this lake. I dog paddled out there in this lake till I know I got in deep enough water so I could start stroking. And I got a little bit further out there. And as I was stroking, I guess I was doing all right. I was going to swim across this lake. I didn't just want to swim. I was going to swim across this lake and get out. I didn't think I could swim all the way back. I was going to get out and go across the bridge and come back. But when I did this, so when the big boys come back to the lake, I can swim with them. I was going to shock them. I was going to surprise them for them to see me out there swimming. How does this boy do this? Who is he? Yeah, who is he? Got the static. I'm still trying to get rid of it. And so I dog paddle out there, and I did a few strokes. And ladies and gentlemen, as I looked down the lake, you can look one way and you're looking up the lake, look another way and you're looking down the lake. So I don't know whether I looked down or up, but I looked and I saw a tree stump sticking out of the water. And on that tree stump was a water moccasin. And I'm not necessarily that I'm afraid of snakes, but I got to be in a position where I'm in control. I'm in the water. I've never swam before, but I told myself I could. Now I'm in a position where I better can, because if I don't, I'm finna get a good whipping from the snake. So I screamed. You know how it is when you catch you off guard, you panic. And when I screamed so loud, the snake looked my direction. And as it looked my direction, he dropped off the log, off the trunk, into the water. Oh, now those of you who are listening to me right now, you can imagine how I felt. Oh, my world, me. I looked back over there. I didn't see that snake. And something said, he's coming at you. Hey, you talking about swimming? You talking about trying to swim? I was splashing that water, splashing that water, splashing that water. And as far as I could see, I had not moved an inch. I looked back over there again, and I didn't see that snake. Now, I think I must have started running on the water. Now, to be realistically, I wasn't really running on the water. But I was moving so fast till I got to that bank. I got back over there so fast, it was pathetic. And as I got up and snatched myself up out of that mud hole, that snake came right up behind me. As I took my last foot out of the water, he came right under my foot. But then he went over to even a more area that was shadowed and curved up and looked at me. I grabbed my naked self and the clothes over there and started running up that hill out of that lake. And I haven't been back to that lake. But what I got out of that, ladies and gentlemen, is that as I grew older, most people that I see who get in some type of situation in a lake where they can't swim and there's no inner tubes or people out there to help them in case they need them, these people usually drown. But here I was, still alive, as far as I know. Did I die? This is just another dimension. I don't know. But I was there. So, that was one thing that got my attention, ladies and gentlemen. But it wasn't strong enough to make me anything but a person that was glad that I beat that snake out of that lake. A few years later, I was a little older, still a teenager. I was in the fields. Those of you who are from the South, who are familiar with picking and chopping cotton, I was chopping cotton this day. And as I was chopping cotton, I had straddled one row, and I was using a hoe to cut the weeds and grass off the opposite row. And I got to a point where something happened to me. A fear overcame me, and I could not move. Now, with that inability to move, I just stood there, hair standing up on the back of my neck. I sensed it all. And ladies and gentlemen, the fear got so overwhelming that I dropped that hole. Something turned me around and started me running and screaming at my highest pitch. Other people in the field saw this and they began to ask me, Eddie, what's wrong? Why you running? Why you screaming? I said, I don't know. I just ran as far as that and fast as I could. I got to a point where I felt a little safe, a little comfortable. I stopped and I wondered, what was that? What caused this? So I went back to investigate. I walked back searching my every move until I got back to basically where I was standing before. And as I did this, excuse me. Oh, thanks, I'm being loud. Can you? Oops, that wasn't good. As I, maybe that was too bad. So as I was going back to investigate, I got back to where that hoe I dropped, and I picked it up. And now I'm trying to look for something that was dangerous. And ladies and gentlemen, right where I was standing, I pushed the cotton back. The cotton, it was kind of tall. And right if my next step, it wasn't a full step, a half a step, there was a cotton moccasin. What is it with these moccasins? A cotton moccasin up on the stalks of the cotton. Me take another step, and there he is right between my legs. Now there's a snake down there, but it's not supposed to be one that's crawling down in the weeds. This baby's up there. And I had survived. This is what brought me to the true awareness of God. There was not a person in that field that saw that could have helped me. There was not a person in the field could have tell me what to do, stop me from taking another step. But all of a sudden, something miraculous happened. It wasn't just that it got my attention. It turned me around and made me run to safety. Didn't allow that moccasin to do anything to me. And so what I saw was love, the kind of love that I would have hoped that if God was absent, that a human being could have seen this and would have been able to do these things for me. But it didn't happen like that. It could not have happened like that. So I could only give the glory and the honor to God. So for me, God was real from that point on. From that point on, God was real. Now, that doesn't mean that I committed my life to God. That didn't mean I made a decision that God was going to be the one that I served. No, I was still a young man. Recognized some miraculous things that happened, but I went straight on my life just like everybody else. Looking after me, protecting me as best I could, trying to find a decent job the best I could, you know. And to speed things up, I ended up eventually, after coming out of Alcorn State University, working in the city of Chicago as a counselor for the Veterans Administration. I spent a few years there. And it is there where my upbringing came into play. It is there that what all this whole purpose of growing up was all about that affected me at that point in time, because I saw so much suffering in Illinois. I saw so much suffering in Chicago, and it reminded me of the boy that I grew up understanding a whole different type of life, a whole different type of message that was predicated on a new way of operation that had nothing to do with democracy, had nothing to do with Republicans and Democrats, and it had nothing to do with that. It was about people being happy, being fulfilled in this life, on this earth, at every time, and that wasn't happening. So I believe that one who used Jesus as my hero, one who had seen God with my own eyes, one who had the compassion in his heart, was the call to go, because I couldn't take it anymore. So I turned loose the Veterans Administration, and I began to go out and start spreading the news, but the news of God. Now I tell you, there were some negative things that happened. Everything that I mentioned so far were basically exciting, but as soon as I decided to take this walk, my wonderful wife at that time decided that this was not the guy that she wanted to be, even though she had stood before the public and God and swore that she loved me through sickness and health and poverty and whatever till we die. I found out that didn't mean too much because I wasn't making money. I lost my attitude about money. And so I was not that more important for the systems of the world. But this was me, ladies and gentlemen. And so as I walked down from that road, what they call somebody, I'm stepping down off those steps. Each step is a step from being what we call somebody, falling down to be a nobody, but understanding that nobody down there is what we look for as being somebody that is useful for the spirit and the work of love. So that's where I was headed, from being somebody to love, for being about something. And so it was a rough road, ladies and gentlemen. Rough road. I ended up going to the military. I ended up doing a lot of things that I can't tell you about right now. I don't want to tell you about it because it'll make it too long. So let me jump ahead. So what am I doing? I ended up going into the military, speaking out for God everywhere in my ways. I ended up staying in the military for a while and recognizing that the President of the United States, who happened to have been the commander-in-chief of the military, and I was in the Navy at this time, was doing all kinds of activities in relationship to poor countries and even poor people in this country. And I don't care what how great other people thought he was. I had a vision of how God wanted things to be, and according to in comparison to what God wanted and Reagan and the Republicans wanted, they were doing nothing. They were just filthy rags trying to play God. And so I decided to not have anything to do with the military. I refused to take orders, and the only way in my head, the evidence that I wanted to walk out of there with, that I had turned my back on that bull and opened my front to God, was an other than honorable separation, which was my greatest award for being in the United States Navy. But then I come out of there, ladies and gentlemen, and now I'm dealing with me and God, and God has chosen me, so I don't really know at this point in time what I'm supposed to do. But when I decided that I was going to follow God, when I decided that I was going to be more caring about people and the outcome of all people as it related to God, I was willing to pay any price. And I remember in the early stages of it, everybody got to survive. Everybody got to eat. So I know that food, I wasn't going to be able to have it, not having any money. So before I made the total commitment, I took some time out and I would get grass. I'd find grass in the yards or on the side of the street, and I'd cook that grass and I'd eat it. I said, if I can survive off grass, I know I can always keep on having something to eat, because people might turn their back on me as far as trying to help me eat. But if the grass was there, I could survive. So I did it for a couple of weeks, living off grass. But I didn't just stop there. I committed to God that this beautiful life that He had shown me, I would not accept, go out there speaking for the liberation of all the people who are suffering, and accept it until they were receiving it. In other words, I'm not going out there like some people, give me mine, and you got yours, they'll look up at you. You go out there trying to help them out, and you look like you got nothing, they'll run away from you. But I went out there with nothing but faith. So I go out there and I say, Lord, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to reacquire the things that I've given up, those things that I would love to see blessings for everybody, until they can receive them. Until they can receive them, then my mission is incomplete. I have a duty to do. And the evidence that there is of that, ladies and gentlemen, is that one of the most beautiful things that I can think when it comes down to any people, men, women, old folks, or children, one of the most beautiful things about them is a smile. Nothing to me is as beautiful as a smile. It can be so intoxicating. It can be so overwhelming. And before then, I had a pretty good smile. But now, there are so many people who, when they smile, they look so funny because there were strange things behind them lips. And so, one of the attitudes I took was that everybody should have access to whatever would provide them a beautiful smile. That basically means some good teeth. And so what I chose to do was that I was going to ignore, I was going to brush my teeth, but as far as going to the dentist constantly, having this checked, if you get a little cavity, getting it filled, if you're going to, just trying to maintain your smile, was that not that important to me while other folks were ragging out. So I decided that for me to start actually receiving the benefits of dental care is that the system must fold in such a way that all people who need dental care would have access to it and no trouble. Well, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that beautiful smile I used to have, that beautiful smile is gone. I got just a messed up mouth as anybody's mouth that I was trying to advocate for. I'm not ashamed of it because of my respect to it, how I responded to it. The thing that I'm sad about is that I'm living in a system where God is giving a message of freedom and liberation that would take care of all of these things, and the people have rejected it. But at the same time, I'm not angry. I used to be. I have learned over time that won't work. So, ladies and gentlemen, here I am. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying that between then, there's one other thing. All right, before I left Chicago, I was, after my wife had left, I was working, trying to make a few dollars here and there so I could put gas in a little runaround Pinto I had. And one night I was going to do a service, and on my way I was praying, constantly praying, and radio was going, and I'm driving there, and I stopped at a red light. I believe it's on 63rd and perhaps Loomis. And I was deep in prayer at the red light, and I'm thinking about God. I'm happy. You know my situation, what I was going through, but I'm thrilled, happy. And as I was sitting there praying for God and asking and trying to understand what the future holds, as I drove across the street, the light changed. Money started flying out of the sky. Money. I don't know if somebody was robbing somebody and threw it off the top of a building or what, but money was flying all over the place, across the streets, everywhere. People started running. I couldn't believe it. I pulled over to the side to see if this was money, and I grabbed some, and it was money. But my state of mind right then knows the danger of money. See, money comes to replace love, and I knew that was not for me. So I just turned loose so whoever was collecting money could have a little bit more. And so I drove on and asked God, what does this mean? And the Spirit of the Lord was speaking to me and says, if you tell the people that this is, you've heard the expression, the cattle on 1,000 hills belong to God? What he was showing me, as easy as it was for me to be driving there and the money started running out the sky, other people started running to try to get it. It is the following the basic principles of God that would allow us to have no need to be absent anything that we require in life that money could buy. That we wouldn't have to worry about any of that. Oh, you talking about something inspired now? I know God don't want anybody poor. That's what he's telling me. Then I didn't work for that money that was flying out of the sky. Other folks who was running didn't work for that money that was flying out of the sky. They just ran over there to get it. And that's what I had done. And now I'm telling the people that there's a way of life, that those things that you need, want, and desire, God has fixed it in such a way that it'll be just that free to you. Well, having accepted that message, I went on, ladies and gentlemen, and while I was in the military, I had to do some time, because when I didn't just stop obeying the orders and that was it. No, I had to do some prison time. I did my prison time in the Philippines, and I think a little bit maybe in Japan, until I got out of that baby. Came out of there, went to the South, and ended up in Minnesota. That's when I started running for public office. Public office for carry this message to all of the nation. All of the nation. I ran for president 3 times. I want you to know that God is the answer. I wanted you to know that there's a way of treating one another that was so fantastic that you never have to worry about these things. I ran 3 times for president, ran even against Barack Obama. Ran for the United States Senate twice. Ran for mayor of one of the cities, 2 of the cities in Woodbury, a few times. all standing up, advocating God's truth. Now, what is God's truth, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes down to these kinds of things? You know, and this is the example. If someone decided to send you an invitation, say this is a party. They got a party going on down here, and you're invited. It's a potluck party. Everybody, what your wear is, what you like, what you do best, bring it to the party. It's a big celebration. So some bring the music, some bring the dance, some bring the fashion, some bring the macaroni and cheese, some bring the ham, some bring the drinks, some bring the turkey and the chicken and the duck, some bring the ribs, and I mean, you know what I'm talking about, the cake and all this good stuff. And all you brought was one thing that was special to you. But when you got to the party, you had the location, the facilities, you had everything that you needed, you had more food than you could ever imagine, and you had access to all of it. And all you brought was something fantastic and special that is of you. That was your representation to the party. And when the party was over, everybody's belly was fat, everybody felt good, everybody felt calm, and they can go home and have a good relaxation. That was the party. And so God wanted me to understand that the way He shaped the earth to have all the necessary ingredients in it that would ever be needed for a human party, a humanity party. And each individual that was created, that has been assembled to walk around in a body, had something special, a special gift, a special talent that they could bring to the party. Some played football, some played basket and sports of various assortments. Some were engineers, some were teachers, some were medical professionals. But whatever it took to do the job that you were given, he had enough in it to work with every phase. Say, for instance, to produce food. Every phase that is in the production of food, someone got a specialty relative to it. Whatever phase is necessary to building shelters, there's someone that got a part in it. Didn't matter all the variations of parts, but there's someone who had a specific role in that whole process. And every last one of those roles were essential in the completion and the fulfillment of what they were geared to do. And in so doing that, you would create enough, whatever is necessary, for food, for clothing, for shelter, for education, for health care, for every American. Nobody would be without. Everybody in America would be playing a part at the party. They brought something to the party. They gave to the party. And in the end, you had all of your dreams necessary. You had your planes. You had your transportation. You had your parks. You had it all, ladies and gentlemen. Heaven on earth. That was Jesus said to us who call themselves people who recognize God, that the will of God be made manifest here on earth. The will of God. You didn't just come here to say I'm saved. You didn't just come here to let somebody say that this is what it's all about and you go straight on. Yes, we understand that these things are essential for life if you're trying to serve God. They're essential for life if you're trying to serve the world. But in the world, they say you don't need God. In the world, all you need to do is follow a principle of a group of people, a person or group of people that separates you from another, and use a tool called money to say that you don't need God, because with money you can do anything you want to do. And now to use the money like you want to use the money, you got to find some way to undermine that money being delivered to others. In this particular situation, cut health care, cut housing, cut food and clothing and shelter, cut education, cut jobs so these people can suffer, and you can blame them while you're pouring your bonds, running over with some of everything. And this, my friends, this is the message that I've been given to tell the people. To tell the people that Republicans are not your answer. Look at what's happening in the United States of America right today. You got the President of the United States saying he's a nationalist, saying that I represent a particular people that's more important than any others. And the people that he says he represents are white people. And all people other than whites of different shades, don't matter. You can use them as you want them. If you need them as a house nigger, bring them on in. And if you don't need, the rest of them be field niggers. And if you get tired of the house nigger, put his butt back out in the field. This is the way of the world. And then you come along with a different party called the Democratic Party. You talk about the liberals. And they definitely have a more compassion for anything more than the Republicans, more than the conservatives. But they have stiffened. They've been in power. Have you ever seen what I've mentioned to you happen? No, you haven't. And in the midst of this midterm election, the outcome with the people doing the things that they're doing, the war has begun because nobody has recapitulated to the fact that God is the master, that God is the author. And it didn't matter whether you say you believe in God or not. Belief doesn't mean a thing except it tells you you don't know what you're talking about. Because the moment you know, you stop believing and start walking accordingly. So when you're out there talking about the world got to eat, and God's people got to eat, you don't go and jump on the world's side and say the world going to feed me. No, you stand up for God's way. Now, there's a difference to determine who's right and who's wrong. I tell you, somebody asked was that Solomon. Well, you remember the story about the baby? Whose baby is this? Cut them up, Solomon say, and give them each a piece. The one who owned the baby, whose baby it really was, said, no, don't cut it. Let them have it. So this is the same message when it comes down to people serving God and serving the devil. If serving God means you got to stand up for what's right before you do what's wrong, you tell them you're ready to put your life behind standing up for what's right. And putting your life means I am not going to accept anything that you try to impose on me. And I will eat. I will have shelter. I will have education. I will have health care. And I will participate in the creative process. And there's nothing that you can do except kill me. And it'll take that for you to stop me. And stand there. You don't pick up a gun and try to fight back. That's the devil. If you know what you're talking about, stand there and let them blow you out of this hell. And be grateful that God gave you the confidence, that God gave you the courage, that God gave you the knowledge, the will to stand up, to glorify God. And you don't even have to worry about, are you going to heaven? Who cares? You are in heaven at the moment that you're standing up for God. Can't nothing take that away. You heard the story, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me, and the world can't take it away. They'll do everything they possibly can. They put me in solitary confinement over the better times of my life. I fasted for 40 days and 40 nights to stand up for God. Those were the better days of my life. I'm not worried about what you can do to me, because when you're on the right track, you can't do nothing to me. You ain't doing nothing but exposing yourself. This is what the Republican Party has done today in the United States of America. These people who are supporting this idea of this man who don't give a darn about anybody but himself, they've always been there. That's why we had racism and bigotry and all this killing and murdering and stuff. It's always been there, but time had passed. They were trying to hide. They act like they were not participating. They had overgrown this until a mouthpiece came along saying, I haven't overcome it. I am a nationalist. And these people said, what? Now I got a voice. All of a sudden they can come out from under the tables. They can come out from under the chairs. They can come out from under the weeds and say, I am a nationalist. I hate, this is my world, and I hate, I want to kill. They can come out and do that, and let them. But don't you be picking up a gun, talking about what you're going to do to defend yourself. You can't defend yourself. Be still and do what's right. Stand up for what's right. The $1 million doesn't mean anything. Your ability to have so much more than other people, have $1 million homes, $1 million properties don't mean nothing. That stuff can burn down like nothing. Your president said you want more bombs so you can be a great nation. You want to go up in space and spill up some power of this. You have everybody afraid of you. How can you serve that? How can that serve you when paradise in California is being burned to the ground? When Malibu in California is being burned to the ground? When floods and cars coming across on the borders of the shores of those areas that are around water. When you can't do a thing about that, you better sit your butt down and take some notice. You can build a plane. You can drop a bomb. You can go there and do something to Iraq that Iraq can't do to you and come right back home. And nature has whipped your butt so bad you wish you had that money you spent in Iraq. You wish you had that money that you gave to all of those tax breaks. You wish you had that money back so you can try to serve and trick the people and think that money is the solution. Money is not the solution. If you start trying to use money, how are you going to rebuild paradise? How are you going to rebuild Malibu? How are you going to rebuild these other parts of the country that's being devastated every day? Money won't do it. There's not enough money. You can make money, and go deeper in debt, and it still would be insufficient. What you need is God has used people. Use people to do what people were designed to do. To spread love, to build, to be free, to shout glory, hallelujah. I know who I am. I'm somebody because I can play a hand in education. I can play a hand in housing. I can play a hand in the infrastructure. I can play a hand in all of the things that are so essential. And I give it because I love you. I give it because you need me. And I give it because I need you. And since we're all doing this together, it is a family reunion. A family reunion. A family reunion without the sin, without the evil, without the lies, without the bigots, without that. And so when I go to the polls, and I've shared this message to people who can agree with that, I didn't ask them for money to spread a campaign, because when I ask for money, I'm saying that money has that kind of power. Yeah, but that money does not have the power to spread what God is about. God is not about money. As Jesus told the rich young ruler, if you want to be all of that with God, go get rid of that stuff and give it to those who don't have anything. They couldn't do that. Trump can't do that. Republicans can't do that. Conservatives can't do that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what I have shared with you is the truth. But don't get upset. Don't get mad with the Republicans. Don't be mad with any group that you think is playing a role in your pain. Now, people do things the way they do because they do not know better. How many of you have known that your role in life as a Christian or somebody that represents God is to do the will of God on earth? Not to jump in some bandwagon with man. Man stole the oil fields. All of those resources. Iron, ore, gas, diamonds. Man stole it and told you it belonged to them. Then they put some money out there and say you can't get access to it unless you listen to what I want you to do. And I need somebody to do this and to do that. And I'll pay you for this and I'll pay you for do that. And however bad I needed you, that determines how much money I'm willing to give to you. And some I don't need you at all. In fact, some of you are treated like the caravans that's coming. Get out of here. Don't come over here. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to wrap this thing up. One thing I want to share with you. I believe right now they are having a reunion in Paris. I said reunion because you can get a understanding what I mean about reunion. It has to do with those situations that brought about World War I. Celebrating the end of it, but what brought about it was the attitude that is being experienced in America today. That's being experienced in Russia. That's being experienced in China. These kind of attitudes where people want to nationalize, saying they are superior to others, and they are not concerned about anyone else but themselves. This is what this meeting is about. And here, a representative from the United States of America, doing everything he possibly can to destroy this nation, lying with his teeth broke, bigger than mine. And the folks are stroking him all the way. And the Democrats setting themselves up for a battle. A battle, my friends, that the nation loses. The nation, Republicans and Democrats, and you all, whatever side of the fence you're on, everybody loses. Why? Because nothing works but the truth. Nothing works but God's plan. And when you see these cities and towns being burned to the ground, and then somebody come over you with their truck saying, well, need some help. Somebody try to bring in some food or some bottle of water. Now they want to act like this is love. They want to act like they represent God. This is the fakeness of it. If you can do it when a person is down, why not do it when a person is up? Love one another when you're up. Love one another before you get down. And when you get down, institutions have been set there that makes you feel like you never lost an inch. That fake love. Charity. Somebody over here in Russia, old people, Jews, need somewhere to stay and donate $25 a month. What the stinking devil is that? These people need life. Nobody want no $25. What can $25 a donation do? What can $15 an hour increase in wage do? Nothing but keep you in bondage. Nothing but keep you in chains. It cannot free you. And how in the world can you be free when your heart is locked on hate? Somebody got to tell you that you got to break loose. Somebody got to tell you that you got to give up the ghost of hate. You got to receive what you don't know. You got to, on basis of faith, believe in love. But some way I've heard some strange things about faith too. They say just have faith. Give it to God and have faith. I tell you, you give it to God and have faith, you'll be like me out there in that lake. You might get saved and you might drown. They say that faith without works is dead. Your faith is nothing if you're not out there doing the work. And what is the work? Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, I don't know if I've touched any of you, and I don't know if I'll have the occasion to ever try to seek political office again. But if I do, I want you to know it will be not just for Republicans or Democrats, it'll be for everybody in this country. And the whole purpose is to create it in this country so the rest of the world will know that it is available to them as well. I'm not playing games or pitching one against another. If you don't like this stuff, that's you. I can't be upset with you. I'd be upset with you if I allow what you do to turn me off and give it up. And you are not even responsible. I'm responsible for that. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people. And I really pray that we as a nation wake up. But it is not my prayer that I'm holding my faith in. It is my standing up, doing something in relationship to the problem that I'm depending on, and my doing it because of my knowledge of God. Until next time, bye-bye.